What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It's gonna be the first real video of 2020. Super stoked, but at the same, oh, hold on, we're missing something here. I know exactly what we're missing too. Bust this bad boy open, and inside of here we have the microphone that's supposed to be on top of the camera. Slide that onto there, undo that. Voila. So this should sound way better. 2020, breakups aren't easy. You know, you close one door, another door opens, and today I want to talk about why I exiled the 85mm f1.8 from my bag. And it's not that it was a bad lens, but the 85mm 1.8 is going to be replaced in my lineup with a different lens that I'm going to be using primarily for portraits. And I think this one will be more appropriate as another running gun prime. The 35mm f1.4, which is what we're using now, has been my running gun lately. It has distortion as you get up close to your subjects. Even on like cars and stuff, it does have a bit of distortion, which can be corrected, but you know, I don't feel like doing with that. So the lens that we have to replace the 85mm, we've got the 50mm f1.4 Zeiss planar lens. I have looked at countless reviews on this. I didn't even think I was going to get this lens, and I ended up getting it. I was actually going to go for the 85mm 1.4 G Master. As I've been doing more research in lenses, this lens actually has what is called a double Gauss design, and it is essentially, you have all your, whoops, let me just turn that off. You basically have your elements in your groups put together, correct? And then you take the exact same grouping, but you flip it. And so instead of just having this space of elements, you also have the exact same space of elements flipped over in this grouping. This lens has that double Gauss design. What that does is that it actually increases the amount of sharpness from corner to corner, as well as minimizing distortions, because you have two spherical elements in there. And the 50mm f1.4 Zeiss planar lens, that's the last time I'm saying that entire name, it is a lens that has that actual design and helps with that low distortion that I'm looking for to utilize as an everyday lens. I'm probably the only person that uses these bags, to be honest. Like you can see up here, the case that my 35mm goes in, it stays in here. My 70-200 is indeed in here right now. Whenever I'm using or not using lenses and they're just kind of like staying stored, I pretty much just keep them in their bags up here, and my camera sits right there looking nice and pretty. But without further ado, let's bust this bad boy open. And then let's just get all this wrapping out. And there she is, peeps. Absolutely gorgeous. She is heavy. It's like the 35. It's cold to the touch. It's got a full metal body design. We have our aperture ring. That nice ASMR goodness. And we can also declick it. I would probably never declick these things. Big element up in the front. It's actually not huge. This has a 72mm front thread, which is nice because the 35mm f1.4 and my 70-200, they both also use the 72mm front thread, so thankfully I don't have to buy any other polarizers. Inside of this lens, you have this grouping of elements, and then you have the same grouping of elements but flipped over on this side of the lens. And what that does is that it essentially creates no distortion. The sharpness on this is super good. I looked at a bunch of reviews and downloaded a ton of sample raw images and pixel peeped to my heart's content. I'm guilty of that in my own photos, and I really wish that I could stop doing it, but I can't. So after reviewing a lot of images and user reviews and all sorts of fun jazz, I decided to pull the trigger on this and go ahead and buy it. And I will do a field test, but this guy will replace the 85mm and the 50mm. Obviously it's going to replace the 50mm because this one is going to do a much better job with having some really nice sharpness. That f1.4 is also going to be outstandingly more bokeh-licious than the f1.8, especially with that Zeiss pop. This will do very good in my bag. I'm mainly excited to be using this for portraits. One thing I did dislike about the 85mm length is that it is kind of tight. So if I wasn't in a low light situation, I found myself frequently going back to my 70 to 200. I found myself doing that to go back and open up a little bit more and sacrificing that background blur. That way I could get a little bit wider. So this is going to be really, really good. Plus, I can always put this in Super 35 mode and have a 75mm equivalent instead of 50mm. So I can have a 75 1.4 and a 50 1.4 all in this one lens. So it's super nice. It does have some weight to it. It's not like overbearingly heavy, but it is heavy. It's not light at all, which is not something that I mind. I didn't move to the Sony system to reduce the weight of my gear. It is heavy, don't get me wrong, but there is also a lot of glass inside of this. This hood's gigantic. Let's see what that looks like on there. It does fit along here very smooth. It kind of bothers me when lens hoods are kind of like not really running with the body, but this runs super nice. But the lens is actually larger than the body in terms of its height. It has these little, I don't know how well you can see these little, I guess, feet or pegs, if you will, but it has those on the bottom of it. That way, when you set it down, but yeah, you can see here that if it's on those pegs, it's not even really going to roll at all. You can actually see it will, whoop, that was almost bad. That would have been terrible. Put it in its new place. Do any of you guys use those? I know we talked about that earlier in the video, but do any of you guys use these actually? Like, am I really the only person that stores their lenses in those? Or am I not alone, or am I just crazy and alone? If you have the 50mm f1.4 and you like it or you dislike it, whatever you think of it, let me know what you think of it down below in the comments section. As well as for the 35mm, I will be having a field test video on this lens here soon, where you guys can look at the sample images that I go out and take of it, as well as kind of get a first-hand experience of what using this lens is like. So if you guys like the video, make sure you hit that like button 2020 style, subscribe, and hit that bell icon if you have not subscribed already. I upload weekly photography-based videos as well as automotive videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next time.